is not my fault.
Oh my God. We have a brand new game.
To be honest, weddings was not my thing.
Let's go option 1, not safe. These are insane. This is ridiculous. Check. Audio testing. Check. 1 2 1 2. Testing.
Testing from the back.
Why would you say that? You're so everything you say sounds inappropriate. All right. Yo, what's good, creative fam? Brandon Washington here, back with another video.
We're back.
Well, we're not back, and that's just because we are back with another pre-recorded episode for this week. As you guys know, we are currently in our break as we continue to remodel the office. Now, it is almost done. New cameras are coming in today. So really excited about coming back on January 31st. But today I got a special episode for you guys that I recorded with David Manning. We got into some really awesome conversation about being a creator, juggling life as a creator with family and everything else, dealing with kids. It was a great conversation, and I'm super happy to finally be releasing it for you guys. So do me a favor, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button. Me and Jarrell will be live in the chat, so hop over into the chat. We're still here. We're not live, but we're live, so definitely hop over into the live chat. Chat with us throughout this conversation. Let us know what you guys think, and we are super excited to be back on the 31st. And we'll catch you guys in just a bit. So,
yeah, Sony Kando.
How are you liking Sony Kando?
Dude, I love it. I got to go to creator camp like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And that was, or camera camp, and that was killer. Like it was the first time, camera camp was the first time where I met other creators.
Oh, really?
Before that, like doing the channel, like I was just solo.
Yeah.
I would talk to a few people online, but never had like seen someone in person.
Yeah.
Which was the weirdest experience to like people that I've watched for years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, like we're sitting down at lunch together. And I'm like, what's up, Becky and Chris and Gerald? like all the people that now like these different events and like NAB, CES, like I've gotten to know them pretty well in person. But before that, like that first initial time was like, whoa, this is weird. But even like today, I met Becca from The Verge.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, wow.
I met her too.
We're a real person.
Yes.
You're right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're in front of me. That's wild.
Dude, I think that's my favorite part about going to events like this. Like I go to NAB every year.
Yeah, NAB's solid.
For the tech. But really, I just go to hang out.
Yeah.
Don't tell my wife. But no, it really is. I think it's so great to like just get together with other creators and like people who are doing the same thing you're doing, because
100%.
you guys like you naturally are going through the same hurdles, and you're also getting a chance to celebrate the same wins. So it's like it's a lot of fun because like you get a chance to hang out with like-minded people.
It's also the weirdest job in the world that we have, and it's one where outside of things like this, it's hard to relate to other people.
Yeah.
Like when people start talking about their jobs, or like I start saying about my job in front of friends or family, no one can understand what I'm talking about, or like the pressures. They're just like, oh, you make videos for the internet. Yeah. And you're like, there's a little more to it than that. Like a little more of a struggle, but like, yeah.
Don't demean it too much.
Yeah, but then you meet creators and they know the struggle of like just all the things that you're going through, of like planning content. You and I were just talking about of like sometimes you get out and you just overthink a concept.
Yes.
And you don't create anything because you got so caught. My wife makes fun of me all the time for it. And she's like, stop overthinking and just make it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And probably the best advice that I heard from somebody with that was like, you do not have to post this. You could just go record it right now and not even post it.
Yeah.
And that freedom, like as soon as I hit record, I feel like I'm on stage for my audience, right? Like in a way, like whatever I'm doing is going to go to them.
Right.
And just letting that go for a minute and being like, hold on, you're the editor. It's not live.
Right.
You could just cut it out later.
Yeah.
Or like not even use any of this. And it like gives you the freedom to like get past some of that overthinking of like, oh yeah, all right, let's just go try it.
Yeah.
And then so like little things like that like
is smart.
Other creators can really relate to. Having those conversations here is so killer. And it's Sony, dude, they hooked it up.
Oh yeah, well this is beautiful.
Yeah, the Ritz is beautiful.
They brought together some of our best friends.
Yeah, that's
here,
been wild,
and it's been a great experience. But I know specifically like there are certain things that like as creators that other people don't actually have to deal with. Other jobs
Correct.
don't have to deal with, and I feel like as a creator, we wear more hats than probably any other profession does. Like,
yes.
we're graphic designers, we are in pre-production, we are in wardrobe, we are in props, we have to be researchers,
you're the
fact
lighting
checkers, you're lighting, grip, like
you're doing every piece of it, and then your post-production, and then you're into like, oh, now I'm doing thumbnail design. Like, you're the graphic designer for the thumbnail, and now you're into marketing. Like, now I gotta figure out where am I gonna post it, and how am I gonna post it, and what's my title gonna be, and like, what's the hook gonna be. Like, so many of those things that on a bigger project, you've got a team of people.
Yes.
I mean, like, we saw there's the really cool thing set up there with all the cars.
Yes.
They brought in the grip trucks, and they set up all the studio stuff, and you're going, just for the gripping, you've got like 9 guys setting this shot up.
But for your YouTube video, you've got
it's this guy. And I'm the guy on camera, and I'm the guy that wrote
talent.
it. And
so
edited
how do you juggle doing all of it?
Man, I don't know. For me, I really enjoy it. Like, it's something that I think I think our job is one of the hardest because of what we're talking about. But bro, what a great job! Like,
it is one of the most fulfilling.
I feel so much gratitude that it is my job. I'm also a father. I have 3 kids, and I have that like responsibility that I've taken on, like providing for my family. So there's plenty of times where, you're going through something. It's just hard.
Yeah.
You're struggling to like get through an edit or get through whatever it is, like whatever piece of that puzzle that you're struggling on. And anytime that I get like discouraged at all, I will. Can we curse on this podcast?
Sure, go for it.
Oh, good. I kind of talk to myself, not mean, but like an aggressive high school coach would, you know? And I've had a couple of good aggressive high school coaches, and I'll just be like, Dad, whatever it is, and I'll be like, you little bitch, like, quit it. Quit it.
I love it.
Look what your job is. Look how lucky you are.
Yes.
Get back to work. What are you doing? And then I'll like snap whatever I'm doing, like that's either distracting me or like suddenly I want to reorganize this drawer and I should be working on this edit that's due tomorrow. You know? But I'm like, oh, that drawer is messy. And it's just procrastination for the sake of like, this is a hard thing and I kind of don't want to do that hard thing. I would like to do something easier, like organize a drawer. That is unnecessary.
But it's like rational procrastination, because it's like, you're like, rationally, I do need to do this thing.
This is productive.
Dude, I will tell you, I have done some of the best lawn work in my house when an edit needs to be done.
Yeah, or the dishes. Oh, I clean the heck out of the dishes.
Oh, yeah. I hate doing the dishes
100%.
Until I have an edit I don't want to touch.
And then that sounds easier than doing my edit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like a lot of people will obviously relate to that.
Hopefully,
but like when it comes to like overcoming some of the procrastination or overthinking, like obviously you have at some point, because you put out great content, your channel's growing.
Thanks, man.
How do you find yourself, or how do you get to the point where you feel like when you're having those moments, like obviously you talk to yourself, but like, do you have any like tangible things that you're like, all right, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to have a structure? Like, what do you do to help yourself overcome those overthinking moments?
Push-ups is usually pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think like a lot of my struggles end up coming when I've been working too much and not doing like physical activity.
Oh, okay.
Or like being outside. Like I'll go outside and like just take a break and like just go in my backyard and like sit there and drink coffee or whatever it is and like get sunlight, and it just like refreshes you. Like, I mean, how many times have we been in an office at a computer from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m.?
Yeah.
And like I'll like my wife will bring me food for me, and like the only time I'm going to the or inside is to go to the bathroom. Yeah. Like that's it. And sometimes I just realize like, oh, I didn't move today. Like I woke up, I got my coffee, I was worried about this edit. I was like, I got to start working on it. I'll sit down, and the entire day goes by, and I get up and I'm like, oh no, oh no. And anytime that I'm really finding a struggle, I'm like, I just have to like, get outside, go breathe a little bit, get some sunlight, do some push-ups. And usually it like wakes me back up. Like it like brings me back to like, not my purpose. That's entirely too cheesy, but it just brings me back to like who I feel like I can be.
Was that your truth though?
That was my truth. I'm speaking my truth.
You're speaking your truth.
100%.
My truth is it brings me back to my
what
purpose.
about you? Do you have like a method to get through that kind of thing?
Dude, for me, I get on a phone call.
Is that it?
Yeah, I need to talk to somebody.
Is there somebody? Do you have like a few people?
I have a few people that
I'll
I'll call them and I'll just like talk to them for a little bit.
I love that.
It just allows me to like reset my brain, because mine is when I work in an office by myself,
Me
right?
too. Yep,
And so it's just that solitude for too long is not good. Like I need to be around somebody, and I'm naturally an introvert, but like if I'm like locked into my dungeon, as I call it, when I'm editing, because I turn all the lights off and everything, and I'm like in the dungeon by myself for too long, I'm like, I need a little bit of like civilization. So I'll call my wife, or I'll call like my assistant editor, or I'll call somebody and just like shoot the breeze. And what's funny is like when I call my assistant editor and we start talking for a little bit, he goes, "Are you using me to procrastinate?" And I was like, "Just a little bit."
A little bit.
I was like, "Some of this is actually like needed stuff, though."
But that's so. I was at the Kando booth talking to Lucas about this earlier, and we as much as YouTube seems like oh, you have these people who follow you and they have all these viewers and all these comments, it's for like the actual real life scenario is I'm by myself in my garage talking to a camera about cameras or some sort of piece of tech, and then I turn around and I plug it into a computer, and then I sit there and I edit. Yeah, it's like it's an entirely lonely, right? Like I go like that. I think again, like that's why these kinds of things are so cool. Is community is awesome, right? But man, community with people that understand what you're doing in work. And for me, same as you, is like I think that in those times where you're feeling really lonely, it feels good to reach out to other creators. Yes, people that kind of know like what you're doing, because some of my other friends just haven't. They it's so hard for them to relate because they just don't see the 99% of what I do. Right. They just see like the fun video that comes out.
Yeah, they only see the byproduct of all the hard work, 100%. But they don't see the actual hard work.
Yeah, exactly.
So the question is, when you do talk to people, because this is something that I struggle with on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. When you meet somebody, or this is my real life scenario, so don't judge.
Yeah, tell me.
You go to a family get together,
what do you do?
And somebody walks up and they're like, "Oh, so what exactly do you do?" How do you answer that question?
I actually had a tough time with it for a while. So before YouTube, I was a professional photographer. Did that for 15 years. Did high-end weddings. Did travel. Like I loved my work. I loved it. The pandemic is what got me to switch. Gotcha. Is it wiped out my 2020 calendar. We had $3,000 rent payment to make every month. I had my wife and we had one daughter at the time. And I was like, well, babe, our whole year got wiped out. We have no money coming in. It was going to be one of our biggest years. It was going to be great. And it's all wiped out. And I do have this YouTube channel. We've got like 5,000 subscribers and we make about $340 a month right now. I'm going to go do that. Yeah. Like while we're locked down, I'm going to go do that. And YouTube happened, and it's fantastic. But when I started YouTube and people would say, "Oh, what do you do?" I would go, "Well," I felt like I had to justify it. So I would go, "Well, I was a photographer for 15 years, professional photographer," kind of just what I said. Mm-hmm. But recently I started making YouTube videos, and now I run a YouTube channel. So instead of just saying, "What do you do? What do you do?" "Oh yeah, I run a YouTube channel." Yeah. Or I make YouTube videos, whatever. I didn't feel confident in that enough yet. Right. So I felt like there had to be this like pretext to ever saying it. Yeah. Because of what I think, maybe it's just what I perceived of YouTubers myself. I was putting on someone else, but I like didn't want them to think that like I wasn't serious. Yeah. Because in the wedding photography world, I had gained a solid stature within that world. And then like coming over and just being like, I make YouTube videos. Yeah, I felt very not confident about it. And now I say I run a YouTube channel.
That's good,
because that's I think the most clear way. Instead of saying like I make YouTube videos, because I think that people still just like what when you say I run a YouTube channel, I think people go, oh, okay.
Yeah, even that verbiage sounds like more secure. Yeah, like you're not create like one-off videos.
Yeah, exactly.
You actually are running a channel,
and people at least can understand. Like, oh, I have seen channels that are like actual full channels. Yes, that's maybe what you do. Yeah. Again, even at that point, boy, is there like a bunch of other questions. Like, how do you make money? How does that work?
So that's the reason why I struggle answering that question, because if you say YouTube, then the first thing that pops in their head is, but how much money can you make?
And how does it happen?
And how does it work?
What's the mechanism? Who's paying you?
Exactly.
All that comes up.
That question that's the toughest. I think for me, I would always say, like, because I come from a video production background, I'd be like, oh, I run a video production company. And even as I do,
which sounds very legit, by the way.
It sounds very legit, right? Very. And then, so even when you're making YouTube videos, it's like, what do? Oh, I run a video production company. that makes my YouTube videos.
That makes YouTube content.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like I would always struggle to say I make YouTube videos.
Isn't that so funny?
But I have found that like at least now, and like I'm still not perfect at this, but I just go based off the age of the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
If they look like
that helps
they're
a lot, actually. You're right.
25 and younger,
Yep.
I'm like, YouTube.
Yep.
It's real easy.
And they think it's cooler.
And they think you're amazing.
They're like, what?
They're
No
like, whoa,
way.
tell me everything.
Yeah,
I have nothing but time.
That's it.
But anybody older than that, they're like,
yeah, my family.
yeah.
Yeah. That's when you're like, so my father-in-law is a great example where like nothing from him. He's never like questioned my job. But when I made the switch, boy, did I have insecurity like around my father-in-law.
Yeah.
And like being like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. And like, I mean, I take my responsibility as a husband and as a provider for my family very seriously. And I wanted, like when I first proposed to my wife and I talked to him first, like I explained to him, like, listen, I'm going to take care of her. Like,
Yeah.
I hope you know, like, she'll be taken care of. I will work until my fingers are bloody to make sure she's taken care of.
Yeah.
Like, it was very important to me. And then when this whole YouTube switch happened, I felt myself like kind of trying to like justify it to him of, hey, trust me. And then we're doing a walkthrough of we bought a house and we're doing a walkthrough and him and his wife are with us. So it's me, my wife, my father-in-law and his wife. And we're looking at this like a model, you know, one of the model homes. And this kid walks around the corner and he goes, whoa, what are you doing here? And I looked at him and I was like, what? And he goes, you're David Manning, aren't you? And I go, yeah. And he goes, bro, I watch all your videos. What are you doing here? Like this, and he had like such a fan. And I like looked at my father-in-law and his face, and I was like, yes,
I'm good.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm good.
That's what I needed. That's what I needed. I feel better now. All right,
You're like,
good.
I'll pay you later, kid. I needed that.
That's exactly it.
Thank
That's
you.
Exactly it. But it's so funny. I'm sure, man, I bet if we ran the rounds on creators here, I bet every one of them has at some point felt that insecurity of just saying what you do for work. And then like the perception that's going to bring to people, you know?
Well, yeah, I think it's because YouTube is so broad,
Yes.
right? And like the idea of a YouTuber could be a gamer, it could be a DIY,
Yes, totally.
it could be a like a filmmaker, videographer, photographer. Like there's so many different avenues that YouTube could be that like it's almost hard to use YouTuber as like a blanket statement because you don't
YouTuber's very
know,
nondescriptive.
Yeah, you don't know like what that person's affiliation with YouTubers are. Like,
Yes.
I remember when I told people that I did YouTube, and specifically in our family, they were like Logan Paul? And I was like, no,
not quite.
Yeah, and now it's like Mr. Beast, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's not like that. But like it can be difficult to sort of like explain that to others. But I love the fact that you overcame that and you had that awesome win. That's
Once that happened, I was like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Because I think my parents picked it up pretty quick. Like I think that they got on board pretty quick. I was sharing numbers with my parents also.
Okay.
So once my parents started hearing some numbers, they were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, and you're just doing this at home? And I was like, yeah, look, we're locked down. So like, I'm just doing. And then they saw the comments and everything, and they were much more like involved in kind of watching the channel grow. So I think they had it was easier to, I didn't have to convince them. Like they saw it pretty early on. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Dude, that's so great.
Yeah,
so
it's good.
Your channel has been doing really well.
It's been going great.
You've been absolutely crushing it.
Thanks, man.
But I know that you and I have talked like sort of like off camera about just like the progression of a YouTube channel.
Yeah, where it goes. How do you build it?
Yeah, and I think there's something really interesting to what we kind of talked about, which is the idea that your channel might start in one place, and then there's like a moment where your channel could actually sort of need to pivot and change and go a different direction.
Yeah, I think every niche is going to have a ceiling. You know, like especially with the concept that I think plays really well for most people is the more you can niche down at the beginning and like find your hardcore ride or die people, the more niche down you are, the lower your ceiling is.
Yeah.
The lower, that's what you're going for. Like you're going for the tip of the pyramid. Problem is that over time, as you want to grow this thing, you run out of people.
Yeah.
You run out of people that are interested in the content that you're making in that niche. So what I really think, and something that I'm going to be working to do over the next few months and the next year is, I think after you've grown a solid audience, and you've done a good enough job of injecting enough of your personality in there where it's not just like info. It's info with personality. So people are like, I like what he makes and I like him.
Yeah.
Then I think the strategy is going to be to start going broad based off of like interests from your core audience.
That's
so taking
good.
your core audience and saying, okay, my core audience is photographers, videographers, and action camera users. And I go, okay, what else do they like? AirTags. I made a couple of AirTag. I made one AirTag video that I took the speaker out of the AirTag. Like I learned how to do that on a Reddit post.
I watched this one. Yeah.
And it did like 1 million views in a month.
Yeah.
It was the fastest video on my channel to ever hit 1 million views. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But my core audience obviously likes AirTags, and anyone could like AirTags.
Yeah.
You know, like I was telling someone else up there about we got smart blinds in our house. And I think they're great. Like they're so cool. It's the coolest tech. I can now like say to Siri, close my blinds. Or what we do is we say we have Batcave set up as a scene. So we can just say, hey Siri, Batcave, and all my blinds in the living room shut down for like movie night. And it's so great.
That.
And I would love to make a video about that. Now that video, if that topic, right? If I go to my friends and family and I tell them about some new camera, they're like, all right, cool. You know, like, and I'm like, oh, but listen, it's 10-bit. And because of that, it's not 16 million colors. It's 1 billion colors. And they're like, okay, cool. yeah. But if I go to them and I'm like, dude, we got smart blinds. In my house now, I can tell Siri to close my blinds and she does it. All of my friends and family would go, what? Like, I want to hear more about that. That sounds awesome. And they would go watch my video. So my core audience, I think I can still get to them and give them value in that it's an interest that they also like, and I can bring it to them, and because they like it, the algorithm should continue to help show it to other people. And guess what? Those other people that never watched my channel before are now like, oh, smart. Wait, I want to know about blinds. Yeah. And they'll watch that video, and which I think is what happened with the AirTag video. And going forward, I'm going to start bringing a lot more of the, because I love tech, dude. I love all sorts of fun tech, but I haven't put it on the channel too much because I just felt like, this is photo video. It doesn't really belong on the channel. And now I'm thinking like I need to start broadening out to keep the momentum going, essentially.
You know what's interesting? I've done quite a few of these podcasts already today, and I'm hearing a very clear through line on all of them, and it's obvious when you think about it, which makes me feel just so dumb. But you, being the creator, is the through line throughout your content. Like it's
if you've added your personality into it as much as you can.
Put your personality into it, and that's the trick. It's like, or a secret is that like if you can get your personality and really make the videos about you, you really can broaden your topics. Because I feel like for most of the creators that I've heard that are frustrated or sort of like feeling kind of stuck, it's because they feel trapped to a certain type of content.
Yes,
that they either don't feel like they have anything else to say about,
they're bored,
or they're just completely bored with it, or they feel like it's done, like they've made every video they possibly
they've
can
said what
on
they
it.
needed to say.
And they feel kind of trapped and like oh, I can't do more. But the truth is that when you make the content about a product but through you become the through line. So when you start to feel like, hey, I'm kind of done with this topic, or I mean, how many more GoPros can I really talk about? It's like, oh,
at least a few more.
But you're like, at least I can make some videos about other stuff that I care about. And when you do have those, opportunities, brand deals, whatever, where you do need to make a video about a GoPro, you don't feel like I've made 100 GoPro videos. You're like, no, I made a video about the blinds that I just got, and I love that.
And then like you also are having fun again. Yeah, because you're like, oh, I've been wanting to tell you guys about this. And I think, again, really the personality bit is probably the biggest tip I would give to like smaller creators is, man, don't worry so much about lighting or like be weird. Like get your weirdness into your channel. Yeah. Because the more weird you are, the more vulnerable you are with that weirdness. That's how people connect with you. Yeah. Like people connect with me when I have moments of like either I fail and like I break something or I drop something or like I'm like, oh, like those moments, you if you were like, oh, I need to make a good video, like I don't want to be embarrassed, you cut them out. Like we're the editors.
Yeah.
You can cut all that out if you want. If you leave it in though, you're saying to your audience like, hey, we're friends. I can do this in front of you.
Right.
We're friends.
You are weirdest with your closest friends, right?
100%.
And you know what's also really interesting? Like, so just to show you how personality really can drive in, you made a video not too long ago about the Meta Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
And I've had mine for a long time.
Okay.
And I just did like the big update, got the 3 hours of recording. I
Love
was like,
it.
I haven't watched any Ray-Ban content in a while. And so I go and click on your video and you're talking about like the problem, the censorship.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, let's see what this video is about. And immediately you start and you're reading the script to a Billy Madison.
Yeah.
To the movie.
Which is a movie I love.
I love that movie.
So there's a connection.
So that connection, something that simple. Like you
Yeah,
obviously
you're
could have
right.
you could have just said, oh, it's censoring. I tried to use these words. But by using a film that you connected with, it made me connect with you through the film. And then I was
Yeah,
hooked.
isn't that
I
crazy?
watched the rest of the film. I watched
love
the rest
that,
of your
dude.
video.
I
And
love that.
I learned a lot, but I think you're right. It's figuring out ways of like sprinkling in bits of your personality in your content
Yes.
that goes beyond just the baseline topic that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think like this is just a human thing in general, is that naturally humans want to fit in. And what we do to do that is that we make ourselves amenable to as many people as possible, which means that we try to be normal.
Yeah.
Right? And when you make yourself not normal, like you put on a crazy pair of glasses, or you're dressing like a way that's like flashy or different in some way, what you're saying is the people that like me, they're going to like this.
Yeah.
And they're going to like it a lot. And the people that don't like it, don't worry about it. Like, you're not my people.
Yeah.
So I think that the same thing is the more you put your personality in there, you're also going to find your people. Like, you're going to find your community that's out there, people that are like you, and that like Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Like, that's hilarious. Like, that's a connection point. But just by doing that, all of a sudden people that are like, oh, I like that. This guy's great. Oh, he likes the same movies I like. Like
Yeah, that really does go a long way.
It's-
Because now if I'm looking up anything Meta Ray-Bans and your video pops up, I'm like, oh, let me click on his first.
I love that.
Because I
man.
like that guy.
That's great.
I mean, I liked you before that video.
Oh, thanks,
but,
man.
Well, speaking of just, connecting with your audience, you obviously saw a need. And I think a lot of it came from your AirTags video. And so you partnered up with Condor Blue to release a new product to solve a need.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Condor Blue thing happened because of Camera Camp. I initially met Lucas at Camera Camp, and I thought he was just a guy working the booth. And him and I like started hanging out for a while and had dinner together. And like, I said it in my video, but I think it was like 5 hours into hanging out with the guy that I was like, so how'd you start working for Condor Blue? Like, we talked about family and kids and like everything else. And I was like, how'd you start working for it? And he tells me the origin story of Condor Blue. So like him and I, we were fast friends. And from that point, we were pretty much like, at some point we're going to work together. I don't know what on, but I brought him a bunch of ideas. And the EDC multi-tool clip was one of them.
Yeah.
Just a piece of paper. And over the last 3 months or so, me and their designer, Brandon, hours over this thing. It was wild. It was wild, like how, because as soon as they told me, like, listen, we can make whatever changes you want. I was like, really? Like, no limits. I could be like, I needed this. And they're like, yes. I was like, well, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And again, like hours a day, I would pour over this thing, draw it. I would 3D, he would make it, design it in Utah. I'd 3D print it in San Diego. I'd hold it. I'd clip it on things. I'd like feel how it spun in my fingers. How do the bits fit in there? Like, how much clearance do you have? All that.
Yeah.
I like poured into it. And then I ended up with a thing where like I got to make a video yesterday and tell my audience there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
I did everything I could. There was no shortcuts. It wasn't like, oh, we can't do that because of cost. Nothing. I was like, whatever it takes, we're going to make the best tool that I can possibly think of. And they did it for me.
So what was that journey like for you? I mean, had you ever made a product before?
No.
So do you think this
I've got a lot of drawings, though.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of invention ideas.
Oh, really?
Lots of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is your first time, like,
First time it came
seeing
to
something
life.
in your head, and like now it's out. It's got your name on it.
It's so weird. It's so wild to hold it.
But it's got to
and
be
to see other people hold it.
But it's
Like,
got to be fulfilling.
it's very fulfilling. Yeah, it felt really good. And everyone's been so rad about it. Like I was telling you off camera I was kind of nervous launching it here.
Okay.
Just because it's like, oh my gosh, like these creators that I admire so much are going to be the first ones to like hold it and critique it and be like, wait, what is this thing? And everyone's been rad.
Your product becomes the reviewed product. You're used to reviewing other people's products.
Yes.
Now people are going to review your product.
Yes, exactly. And it's not like random people reviewing it. It's like people that are the most critical people, like looking for like, okay, how would I critique that?
Yes.
I mean? And everyone's just been so nice and like, man, the support's been so cool, and it's been really fun to like see people wearing them, and like they're already rigged up with their air tags and cruising around the event with them on, and yeah, it's been neat.
Dude, that's
really
so
neat.
awesome. That's really, really cool.
It's been wild, yeah.
How has it been now being on the side of the product side? Like, are you ready for the first review of this product to come out?
It came out.
Oh, it did already. Okay.
GearPatrol.com put out a full write-up on it and like ran it down, and they were super nice about it, and I was like, oh. Yes, like it made it. Like it didn't just get like slammed online. So it's same thing. Like everyone's been really cool about it. I think too, like being from the creator side, like I came at it from that angle. Like it wasn't born in a boardroom. It wasn't like, oh, you know what would sell really good is if we made something like this and we could sell it. It came from like me just being like, what would I want? Like and really like I've kept my keys on a carabiner hooked onto my belt loop with an air tag dangling from them with my keys. Mm-hmm. So originally my idea was like, oh, it'd be really cool if like that air tag was like in the carabiner somehow. And then once I started drawing that, I was like, oh, we could do this and that, and like we could have tools on here, and this is like my everyday multi-tool.
Right.
And hang my keys from it and be able to hook them on my belt. So again, like it came from much more of like creator need rather than what could we sell to people?
Yeah.
Which I think like it results in this. Like it results in something that I can confidently hand to anyone here and be like, tell me what you think. And they're like, dude, yeah. Like that's super legit. Like that's really dope. That's kind of exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I know, because I needed it too.
I think that's where products like this should come from. It should come from a natural need, because then you also already know the problems that it needs to solve,
and the objections that someone might have.
Yeah, because so many products come out first gen and they put it out, and they're like, all right, give us feedback, and it's like, well, it's a finished product, so why didn't you get this feedback?
Feedback's for V2, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've said that to lots of companies. People that'll send me something like a month before launch, and I'm like, dude, bring me in earlier. Like I'll sign whatever you want, but I could give you my feedback before you start running production. And you could actually make these changes before you launch something.
Right.
Because sometimes it's like, hey, this is like, I get why you might have made it that way, but when you do this thing, like your thumb hits it, or like when this cage, do you see that? And they'll go, oh, you're right. Oh yeah, we could change that. But they can't change it till V2.
Exactly.
Because V1's already done.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kando Blue has been so rad. They've worked with a few different creators. Stallman's got his vertical thing, and being able to come at it from the creator lens, I think, gets you a product where V1 is so much further ahead than people that are not creators or they're not the end user of the product.
Right.
Are the ones designing it.
Well, and also, as you guys are going through the iteration process, you're kind of using your best skill set of reviewing.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, let me see this prototype is trash. And you can do your review process through that. So by the time you do get to the end, you can say you have a perfect product because you literally reviewed maybe 4 or 5 different units before you got there.
Yeah, for me, this is like V12.
Oh,
like,
wow.
This is already like the 12th version of what I drew to like what we started with, and like, I mean, the amount of 3D renderings we went through was crazy. Brandon from their team, man. Hey, you're great too. But Brandon, the Condor brand, he is so patient and so kind with me to be able to do it all.
Yeah.
And Lucas and Steffi, the whole team was so gracious to just let me do that and let me be like fully critical on it and be like, we got to change that. Before it goes, it's got to be that. And they're like, all right, we'll do it. I'm like, oh, that feels so good.
Yeah.
It felt so good.
Just be able to give feedback and immediately see.
And it be accepted and not be like, listen, if we do that, like that's going to cost more. Like none of that was there.
Yeah.
Like none of those limits were there. So it was just, and like you said, like I got to make that video and say to my audience, which boy, is it a big, like I don't really ask my audience ever to buy anything. Mm-hmm. I'm usually just saying, hey, here's what it is. Here's my thoughts on it. Tell me if it's for you. Like leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. That's about it. And this is the first time that I was like, hey guys, like it'd be pretty cool if you got one.
Yeah.
Like I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice, you know, and to be able to do that knowing that when they get it, they're not going to be like, oh, dang. They're going to be like, dude.
Excited.
That's rad. That felt really good.
That is a really cool change. And I'm really happy for you. I mean,
Thanks, man.
I mean, when you told me about it, I was like, wow, I'm proud of you.
Thanks, dude.
I don't know. I'm like pseudo proud of you through your own accomplishments.
You're the best.
So
you're the best.
Well, dude, I know we met not too long ago, and since then I've been like really following your journey of how you've been growing, and like this seems like a huge milestone.
Feels like it.
Going from like, obviously, I know you said you started your channel or really took your channel seriously like around 2020, and you've been growing, you know, far beyond 300,000 plus at this point, right? Where are you sort of sitting?
I think 406.
Are you at 4?
406,
crossing 4. Good job.
It's 408, something like that.
So channel's obviously moving in the right direction, releasing physical products.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where you were just getting started, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
oh my gosh.
I mean, I know we've talked about the one in. Let's go back a little bit.
Please.
And let's just talk about like those early days. Maybe even before 2020, before you hit your first 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
What was it that just attracted you to this creator lane?
I mean, obviously I was a huge consumer of YouTube content, and I was like, that's awesome. I was so busy making my photography career successful that even though in my mind I was like, boy, I would love to do that, what those guys are doing, but I just don't have the time. I don't have the energy to, like, I don't have the effort to be able to put towards that because I'm trying to do this photography thing. And finally I was like, I think it was, you know, I think one of my first videos was the original AirPods.
Oh, okay.
The original AirPods came out and actually did well for a channel that had like maybe 3,000 subs. I think it got like 50,000 views. And it was just me like kind of doing like some Casey-esque stuff in it where like I like went to the store to get Tic Tacs to compare sizes. So there's like a little like montage thing in the beginning. And then I just sat down at my kitchen table with window light. I didn't even have shutter speed right because I was doing all photography. So I really wasn't deep into video at all. And I sat down and made this video and I was like, dang, that's so fun. Like it did well. I like this. And I think after that, I started putting out, I probably put up a video like maybe like once every 2 months on something, like something I thought of or something I wanted to make. And then I remember the first one that I would say made the channel pop was a GoPro video, GoPro accessories video.
Yeah, yeah.
And I could not talk. Like I kept tripping over my words and like, I get so flustered. And I watched the video now, it has a few million views. I made my wife sit in the other room and put on headphones because she could hear me in the kitchen being like, and this here is, God. Ugh. All right. So this here is a, and like just, I mean, it's a 10-minute video. It might have I probably spent an hour and a half filming it and then just chopped it down. It's like, and it's probably think it's 10 minutes. And boy, I look back at that video and I go, I had no idea what I was doing. I just wasn't practiced yet.
Yeah.
I think, and that's the thing that I think people should give themselves more forgiveness for is I think a lot of people say, I'm not good on camera. Like I say the wrong words or I mess up. I still do that. I mean, you see my jump cuts all through my videos. Like I film for 35 minutes for a 10-minute video every time and then break down and like remove a lot of things, silly things that I said. And I think just people at the beginning probably just need to think more of like, and what we said earlier is you don't have to post this. Yeah. You could just film it and then sit down and edit it and practice that. Like what's it feel like to sit down and talk to a camera? It feels weird at first.
Yes, it
Most
does.
people look at a lens and try to start talking to it and it feels really weird and uncomfortable. And even now, like if I don't make a video for a few weeks, like we go on vacation, we go do something, I come back and it's kind of hard to get back into it.
Yes.
Like it's hard to get that mindset back, I guess.
Right. Like you start thinking about your lighting again and your delivery. You're like, how do I do my hooks again?
Yes.
And like all
you start
those
tripping over some words.
Yeah, you trip. Like it really is like I equate it to like going to the gym.
Yes.
Like if you are someone who works out regularly, you will see progress. But if you are just kind of like hitting it every now and again, you take a couple weeks off, you come back, and you're like, why is there no progress? And it's like, because there's no consistency
and
here.
it's a perishable skill. It doesn't just stay where it's at if you walk away from it. While you walk away, that balloon is slowly sinking and getting worse. And you got to come back and you got to be like, I got to get back into it. Like I got to work.
Right. You
I got to work out again.
Expecting it to be still fully inflated,
yes.
and you're like, it's not.
I need to build that muscle back up again.
100%.
And I think people at the beginning, there's a great quote, which I can't tell you exactly, but it's essentially something along the lines of people compare their beginnings to someone else's end. So someone else is looking at you and going like, dude, Brandon's videos are so dope. His lighting is so good. His mics, his camera, like, oh, mine are no good. And it's like, well, guess what? At one point, his were no good either.
Oh, that's very true.
And he built it up and he learned it and he like iterated 1,000 times to like, create something that then was good.
Yeah.
And I think that I didn't give myself much of that forgiveness, but I think people should give themselves a little more slack and just say, hey, at the beginning, your job is just to practice this skill.
Yeah.
Just practice the skill of getting comfortable with this, your delivery, start to learn retention tactics, start to learn strategy within your videos, start to learn that connection to your audience and being vulnerable with them. Like I was not at all at the beginning. No way. I was like, no way am I putting a mess up in there. No chance.
I think there's something to even like telling yourself like setting the goal of like, all right, I'm going to make 10 videos and I'm not going to care what it is. I'm just going to make the 10 videos no matter what. And don't worry about any of those metrics. Like just say like, I'm making 10 videos and we're going to just go through that process and work that muscle. Because that is almost like stretching, you know, when you go to the gym. Just saying, I just got to get warmed up. And so sometimes that's what you need. And
I think people that have come to me and said like, I want to start a YouTube channel. I say, here's how I think you'll be successful. If you can consistently put out at least one video a week at minimum, one video per week for a year, and you don't have to be paid for your work, and you don't have to get any views and any likes. Like take all the metrics away from it, and your job is simply to make the best content you can for your audience, provide as much value to them as possible in like the 3 core areas of value for YouTube, which is either to inform, to entertain, or to inspire. Those are the kind of the 3 that I think of. Is every video I'm like, what am I doing here? Am I trying to entertain them, inform them? Maybe sometimes it's a mix of the 3. But your job for 52 weeks straight is at least one video a week, and you don't even care about the numbers. If you get 0 subscribers, it's okay. If you can have that mindset, as it goes, you're going to see it do this. And it's going to grow. And it's because you're going to get so much better.
And I was about to say the exact same thing. I mean, that should be the goal for the first like year. It's like
to create videos.
It's just making videos to get better at making videos. Because what's insane is after you do that for a while, the things that were hard at the beginning become easy, which now means you have that skill set locked. So now you can start focusing on some of the other skill sets.
That's muscle memory. Now you can start iterating some other areas of your... And that's the thing too, is like every time you make a video... Like I'm still doing this. Every video I make, I'm trying to bring something new or do something new or like add something that is better than my last video. Which sometimes can get us into that overthinking mode. But
if it's one thing, I don't think that's too bad. Because I do the same thing. I feel like with every video, and sometimes it's not the video. Sometimes it's the thumbnail. Sometimes it's how we handle description. Or, I mean, now with YouTube, we're creating 3 thumbnails per video. So it's like...
What a nightmare. That was hard enough to make 1.
Dude.
Now you're like, you have to make 3.
Well, actually, I find it very liberating.
Because they're going to tell you which one's best.
Right. And the 3 crazy ideas that I was like, oh, I don't want to spend all this time on 3 different thumbnails and I'm only going to post 1. But now I'm like, oh, I can use all 3 and it'll just tell me which one's the best. And it also allows me mentally to like, be like, okay, well, if I'm going to use 3, they shouldn't be too similar.
They should be very different.
They should be very different. So now it almost opens my mind to go, okay, what are 3 crazily different thumbnails? Like one with my face, one without my face.
That's
and
what
then
I'm doing.
A third one that's like super graphic heavy. And like let's see what happens.
And sometimes they hit. Sometimes the one that you're like, no way. And then all of a sudden that one's got like a crazy percentage and you're like, wow.
That seems to be it for me every time.
That's what the algorithm wanted? That's so weird.
Well, what's crazy is I'm like, that's what people are clicking on? And like, because we have this idea of what we think people see us as or what they how they consume our content, but the data is just like the truth.
Which is also it's maybe a negative that we come from a professional photography, videography background, is that we're used to creating clean visuals, that we have there's a system to make a visual that is like beautiful, and that does not get you clicks on YouTube.
Not
like,
always.
My stupid face with a white stroke, 9-point stroke over it crushes. If I hold something up to the camera and that has a 9-point white stroke and there's a red arrow pointing to it and maybe a circle in one of the it crushes. And I'm like, it's not what I would love to like do a photo shoot to make a thumbnail that like looks beautiful every time. But then I go on again, these like some of the like tech channels that are out there, and you're like, I can see what's getting millions of views.
Yes.
Like what most people just are attracted to might not be what I would create as art or as like what I think of as my standard. And those are all the things you learn though too.
Yes.
You learn like as you iterate and you say like, let me try it. Like I'll try that, and then you see the numbers and you go, holy cow.
Yeah.
That worked.
I think that's what I like about YouTube too, is that you do get a chance to just try stuff.
Yeah.
Every video you can try something new.
Yes.
And most careers, you kind of are like doing the same thing every single day, and there's like maybe little iterations, but with YouTube, you get a chance to like change as much or as little to your own benefit or detriment as you want every single time.
Yeah, you're the boss.
Yeah, and you get a chance to learn a lot about yourself and try new creative things.
Yeah, there's plenty of pressure to be in the boss of yourself, but there's also some really cool freedoms in that.
So speaking of freedoms, being a creator, what has been like one of the best experiences you've had as a creator, aside from launching your own product?
That's pretty cool. Oh, best experiences. Gosh, I mean, I think some of the partnerships have been really cool. Like we've gotten to go on some cool trips now because of it. I honestly think like the comments is my favorite part. Like my favorite experience within YouTube is the comment section is so supportive, and it's a little counterintuitive what people normally think of as YouTube. When you hear about like YouTube trolls, there's plenty of them in my comment section. I have curse words filtered.
Yep.
And if I go into that one ever, I'm like, yo, people are, whew, that's pretty mean. But on a whole, like if you can disregard those, 95 to 98% of comments are super positive, are from like my people that have found me that are, either saying like, oh, great job, or oh, I like that too. Like I might get that or that. Like, could you check that out? It's always very engaging.
Yeah.
That community aspect that's the best experience in YouTube for me.
Yeah.
Is like putting something out and then like waiting a little while and then I go into the comments. I've heard YouTubers that are like, I don't even touch the comments. I don't comment back. When I first started, and I don't know if this hack would work now, but I saw something where Dane Cook he was on a podcast and he was talking about MySpace back in the day.
Yep.
And how he was like one of the first ones on it. There was no one else on there. And he had like 500 people following him. And he would respond to every single message. So he would go do his comedy show at night, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, or wake up at like noon, start running comments. Just comments, go back to his material, go back to the club that night and just cycle. And he said that because he did that, he goes into this show meeting where they're setting up a show, and he says, hey, I want to run it at this theater. And they're like, no chance. Like, no way. We're not, there's no way, but you're going to fill that theater. And he's like, I think, it wasn't 500. It was 5,000 friends he had on MySpace, I think. Because he goes, I could do it right now. And no one knew what MySpace really was. A little bit, right? And he goes, MySpace. Okay, you've heard of it. Watch this. And he comments, if I had a premiere of this thing Friday, September, whatever, who would come? Could I get you there? And he just put the table on the phone, or the phone on the table, and just watched the comments are going, do. And for me, when I first got started, like that was in me for some reason. And I was like, I am responding to everybody, even the haters. Yeah. People that were super mean, I would just kill them with kindness. I got a few people to change too.
Did you?
Yeah, because I hear people be like, oh, I wreck the haters. And I'm like, I don't wreck them. Never. Because you can't wreck a hater.
Yeah.
You can, though, make them feel a little bad that they were mean to you.
Yeah.
And maybe, and I've had a few comments where like someone just writes something like, this idiot doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, blah, blah. And I'll go in there and be like, dude, you're probably right. Like, it sounds like you know a lot about this. Honestly, like if you know the answers, like let me know. I'm always trying to learn, like hope, and that's it. Something like that. And legit multiple times now, I've had people come back and write a new comment that's like, hey man, I deleted my comment from last night. I'm really sorry. I came across so aggressive. Like, you're right. Everyone's trying to learn, and you know, I'm glad you're out there. I'm like, yeah.
Dude, I legit sometimes feel like they forget that we're real people.
Yes, well, because it's the internet.
Yeah.
We forget that the people watching our videos are real people all the
Right.
time. Like, you're like, I don't know, it's just numbers on a screen. Like, 1 million people watch the video. What is that?
Yes.
And then you go to like a football stadium and you look around and you're like, this is 80,000 people and 1 million people saw that video?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
So it goes both ways, right? Maybe we forget that people are watching this also.
Yeah. No, that's really eye opening for me specifically. I was like, oh, that's actually cool. Because I'm one of those people who I'm like, the comments can freak me out sometimes.
Yes, it can for sure.
And I don't have a problem with the negative ones, but I don't know how to respond.
Yeah.
And so, for me, it's like I'll just like say, maybe I should just stay away. But I do understand. I
vote kill him with kindness. It works pretty well.
I think it's actually really good because I know for me, like back in the day, before the massive rise of them, but like I commented on a Peter McKinnon video.
Okay.
And he did a video about how he was quitting his job at the camera store or something like that. And I was like, oh, like, you know, dude, I'm going through the same thing right now. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And he responded to me.
How much does that mean to you?
It meant everything.
So crazy.
And then, like, when he went on his rise, this was like before 100,000 subscribers. And then ultimately he blew past 1 million so fast.
In 9 months.
Yeah. It's like when I saw that happen, it was like my friend, who's not really my friend. He doesn't know me.
Yeah, but you felt that.
But I felt
That's
like my friend
huge.
is like on this rise. And so I 100% agree. I think you're right. You definitely need to get back in. I need to get back into commenting and being there with the community. And I like the Dane Cook idea of like just scheduling like an hour.
That's exactly
like
what
a
I do.
couple times a day.
I do that
or
today.
a couple of times a week.
The video that we posted on the EDC clip, I went to we had lunch. I go back to the hotel room and I'm like, all right, 1 hour, go. And just as many as I can get done, I just sit there. And here's a little pro tip on that is I don't go into a video and start running comments. Because I can, now it's at a point where I could never respond to all the comments that are there within that time frame. But what's more important to you is like if you posted a comment and I respond to it 4 weeks later, you're like, But if you post a comment and I respond 15 minutes later, you're like, what the heck? Like that means more.
Yeah.
So what I do is I go into my YouTube studio, I just click comments, and it's all the comments from every video that I've ever put, in literally in the order they came in. And I'll spend an hour just going like this, top to bottom. So it's the most recent comment first.
Yeah.
And then back.
That's actually really smart.
And then, there's a bunch that I don't get to, but the next day there's a bunch more. And again, I start at the top. So every day someone is out there being like, dude, that David Manning guy, he responded to me like 20 minutes later. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And again, it means a lot. And the speed of the response, I think, has some merit too.
Well, I think that, and then also, I've had this theory about, thumbnails, and that there is something to, like, everyone's trying to make the best thumbnail possible because the idea is you want to get a high click-through rate, right? You want people clicking and watching your videos. But I don't think enough is said about just repeat viewership. Because I believe that there are certain people who will click on whatever thumbnail you make.
Yes.
And so sometimes we get data because you made it. So you get the data saying, oh, they like this thumbnail. But the truth is that they didn't care what that thumbnail looked like. It was your thumbnail.
Yeah, your initial audience
Yeah.
just saw your face and was like, oh, yeah, I love that.
And so if you can spend more time focusing on like how to keep viewers coming back, you'll actually find that like everything else gets a lot easier. You don't have to worry about viewership or like coming up with crazy topics because if they like you and they keep wanting to come back, they'll keep coming back regardless.
I made a video today it's a Q&A. It's just a response video to the launch of the EDC clip. And it was like the top 10 questions that people asked. And instead of just starting that video, like today we're talking about the top 10 questions that are out there about the EDC clip. I started the video talking to my audience because like, again, I do remind myself a lot, like they're real people. Like we're writing back and forth comments to each other. And when I look at the camera, I'm literally trying to imagine like I'm talking to them. Yeah. That's who I'm talking to, is like this awesome group of people that has followed this journey for so long. And so the video just starts by me coming up to the camera and being like, you guys are awesome. Holy cow. Like yesterday was awesome. You guys blew this thing up. It sold out immediately. We had to burn to the second run. you guys are awesome. You're the best.
Yeah.
And just kind of reminding your audience, like, hey, I appreciate you. Like, I'm stoked you're here. Like, I know that you are real people and we're talking to each other a lot. And like that engagement, I mean, dude, I want to see that from creators that I want if somebody launches something, if Peter launched a new thing and I bought it right away, and then his next video was like, if you bought this, like, I'm so grateful for you. Like, holy cow. I would be like, yeah, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. You're talking to me.
Yeah.
You know, like you feel
it's
that.
real community.
That's what it is. And as much as you can, like, look, the numbers get so high that like I feel bad that I can't respond to every comment anymore because I used to. That's where I like try to give myself forgiveness on that and just go like, look.
Yeah, I mean there is something to, you know, scale in general.
Yeah, but it's valuable. It's valuable to as much as you can.
Yeah, and I mean you're doing way more than most already, but I definitely think that just that value of being able to answer as many comments as you possibly can, and like for even when if you don't get to somebody's comment, but later on they comment on another video and you do, they're like,
exactly.
Oh, yes, he responded to my comment, and that goes so far. And I think,
and some people are commenting that are not subscribed to you.
Yeah,
and you get a response back. You might go, "Yo, that was dope. Just subscribe."
Yeah,
I like that guy.
Yeah,
he responded to me.
And there's a communication. So now when your next video comes out, you know what, that helps me out a lot personally because I've switched to doing a lot of live streams.
Yep,
because I was missing that community element,
being able to see feedback right away,
talk to my audience. I like that. I liked live streaming primarily because you can say something and then somebody can comment and you can immediately respond to them and have that conversation. But
that's
doing it in the comment section is basically the exact same thing. And I think you just changed my entire philosophy on the comment section.
I love it, man.
Dude, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. This is great.
I hope anyone who is watching this or who does, you know, have comments, whether that's on Instagram or TikTok or on YouTube, like that you can go in there and actually speak with your audience because that's where you can build real community.
Yeah, it's a tool for us. It's a tool to build that community.
Dude, if you could give, for one last final question,
hit me.
For anybody out there who is a aspiring content creator who's trying to get started, but like maybe they just have their first camera or they're just using their phone and they're like, yo, I'm just trying to get started. And you know that first video can be very hard to make because you're maybe overthinking it or you're not sure what you should even make content about.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to that person?
First off, take a loan out and buy one of these Sony cameras. Don't do that. Really use your phone. Your phone is great and it's an incredible way to start. I think that like we were kind of saying earlier, like the best advice is just start filming. You do not have to post. It's not just because you're filming it does not mean it's going on the internet. So film it, and this is the same thing I tell people when I teach photography is go shoot photos. That's one thing. Go into Lightroom and inspect those photos. Understand how you messed up. One of the videos on the channel that also did really well is 80% of photography in 10 minutes. And we talk about the exposure triangle, but also about the effect that each of those things has on your image. So yeah, shutter speed has an effect of the faster it is, the less light. So if your image is dark, you need slower so it's brighter. But if you see motion blur in your image, you can immediately go, hold on, let me troubleshoot. My shutter speed must have been too slow because I see drag. So having that time to inspect your work and say, how could I make it better, is the same thing with go film videos and then sit down at your computer, like start chopping them up and watch yourself and be like, do I like this? What would I change next time I go do this? And keep a notebook, like write that down. Like write down those little iterations, those little things you're gonna do next time to make it a little better than it was this time.
Dude, thank you so much.
Heck yeah, man.
It's fantastic.
So
you're awesome. Where can the people find you?
YouTube. Mainly YouTube.
Yeah.
I make very little Instagram content, but I'm going to soon. So you can find me on Instagram also. And mainly YouTube, though.
Awesome. All right. We'll have your tags pop up. But thanks so much, dude.
And hey, EDC clip from Kando
Plug
Blue.
it.
It's wonderful. You're
Buy
gonna
it
like it.
while you can.
You're going to like it. Yeah, while you can.
But it's probably sold out.
It's a little sold out. Thanks,
all right. No problem, brother. Good job. Hey, thanks so much for checking out the Uncensored channel. Do us a huge favor. If you enjoy this content, hit that subscribe button. We'd love for you to join us live every single Friday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. We have so much fun and we want you to be there. So subscribe so you don't miss it.